Car chases are dangerous and unpredictable. Viewer discretion advised.
Yeah, Desmond, what can you tell us?
Yeah, that's right.
Ooh, he's going fast.
Yeah, well, we can tell you that this is a possible stolen vehicle, and this guy is flying here, southbound side of the 5. We are approaching the 134. We picked this up with the LAPD Mission Division, and they were saying possibly a stolen vehicle. Looks like a late model Honda Accord. I believe that's what I heard them speaking about earlier as well. And this guy is not stopping, southbound side of the 5. Getting pretty quick here as we will be upon the 134 here pretty quickly. We had heard actually LAPD saying they were disengaging him from the ground anyway, probably because he's driving so quickly. So we just have one airship overhead right now. That's the spotlight you see overhead.
Were there units on the ground then, and now they're pulling off because he's going so fast?
I'm sorry, say again?
Are you saying that there were ground units following this car, and then now they pulled back because he's traveling so fast?
That's what we heard, yeah. We just heard them say that they were going to disengage, and we heard them ticking off the exits there really quickly because he was flying along so fast. And we have seen this in recent times. Whenever we see someone driving, especially like a maniac, they will back off with the ground units and then track from the air, hoping that this guy will slow down, and then they can re-engage him later, or just keep an eye on him from the ground and use resources from another agency to eventually conclude this chase, maybe hope that he runs out of gas or something like that.
Yeah. Now, Desmond, just describe, I know you've been on a number of pursuits. Of course, this is something that you do every single day, covering LA traffic and whatnot. But tell me a little bit about what police officers are having to deal with when it comes to a pursuit in the dark like this. You see the spotlight, but there are other elements at work here that are kind of for and against them. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, and this is also a dark-colored vehicle, so that is definitely going to complicate things. If it was a bright red car, might be a little bit easier to track, but this is a pretty dark vehicle, so it will be a bit more difficult for them to stay behind. But as long as they have this airship overhead with the really bright spotlight, they shouldn't have any trouble losing him. And there are other airships up here that they may be able to summon if LA County Sheriffs or if CHP can help out. They will join in as well. So despite the difficulties here at night, when you're talking about practically limitless resources here with the law enforcement agencies, that shouldn't be too much of a factor.
Okay, so we're watching the pursuit of a possible stolen vehicle, a late model dark-colored Honda Accord. It looks like the ground units have pulled back because this driver is going so fast, but there is an airship above it, of course, Sky 9 as well. Going southbound I-5 in Burbank, do you know, has he already passed the 134 interchange?
Yes, he has. I was just about to tell you guys here. Let me zoom out here. We just crossed Colorado, so we're now from Griffith Park. We'll be down to Los Feliz here soon, and then he will have options there near Elysian Park at the 110. Then after that, the 10 San Bernardino Freeway and the East LA interchange. So quite a few options. Obviously, pretty much everything available off of the 5 freeway here as we travel southbound, pretty fast. And next coming up will be Los Feliz, and then down to the 2 and the 110 freeway.
So, Desmond, what do you estimate his speeds are at this point in time? It looks like he's passing, I believe the speed limit in that area is probably 65 or so. What do you think he's going?
Yeah, I would say he's above 80, perhaps 80 or 90 miles an hour. And my pilot just informed me there is a little bit of heavy traffic up ahead, so we'll see how he decides to navigate that. It's not exactly stop-and-go traffic, but it's definitely going to be sluggish, kind of typical LA stuff here, even for a Friday night. So we'll have to see what his beginning to develop. And so he will be hitting some slow traffic here in just any moment now.
Yeah, so this really actually will be the test. He's had wide open freeway up until now. Again, the ground units have pulled back because this driver was driving very fast and unsafe. The airship is still following him, and as Desmond just said, they're noticing a little bit of traffic right now. So this is where we'll wait and see to see how desperate this guy is, driving a possible stolen vehicle. Once he hits that traffic, what he's going to do. I mean, Jeff, you remember not too long ago, we had like bumper cars on the freeway with this guy trying to get away from the cops and trying to make his way around stopped traffic. So
yeah, and he was able to do it by taking the shoulder. And I think there was one point in time at night that there was some construction. He was able to go through a construction zone. So it looks like this guy is not slowing down. As we continue to follow the story here on KCAL 9, as we enter coming up on the 10 o'clock hour here, this is a stolen vehicle. This is a live pursuit that we're following here with Sky 9, and Desmond Shaw is in our Sky 9 tonight. This is a dark colored vehicle, a Honda Accord. We believe it is a stolen vehicle going about 80, 90 miles per hour. It started in the city, I believe, of Burbank. Now, Desmond, let's talk a little bit about what do we know here when it comes to suspects. Do we think there's just the driver in that vehicle, or could there be any more people than just the driver?
Yeah, we have not. I've not heard a word about a suspect. You can see the window down a little bit there, and I could. Yeah, we have not heard about more than one suspect in this vehicle at this point. Possible stolen vehicle just getting through the Atwater Village area, and we will be down amongst pretty close to Dodger Stadium. And as you can see, traffic, notorious LA traffic now coming into play, and it looks like it's gonna be a little slow here passing by Dodger Stadium, and then it may open up as I gaze ahead. As we get closer to the Boyle Heights area, traffic may actually loosen up a bit for him. So we'll see what his next move is. He's going to be pretty close to the 110 freeway here shortly.
So tell us a little bit about, is this just your basic traffic backup because of the number of cars, or is there construction? We know that there's a lot of construction that happens at night and on the weekends. Is he hitting construction here, or is this just your everyday sort of backup?
Yeah, I think this is probably just a lot of people coming back from a Friday evening out. Don't see any Caltrans activity here southbound on the 5. I know that they have been working on a huge project in Burbank, but they were not working there tonight. So at least the Caltrans workers are not put in any jeopardy. And I'm not sure about, well, here we go. Now you can see this guy definitely starting to swing around traffic here, weaving in and out of lanes. Getting around some of this slow traffic. Will be pretty close to Dodger Stadium now, just about parallel to Dodger Stadium at this point. In fact, yeah, you see those two far right collector lanes. Those are from the 2 freeway now to the southbound 5, and we will be upon the 110 freeway here pretty quickly, approaching the Boyle Heights area.
And this is going to be really interesting, Desmond, because in a little while he's going to have a choice of freeways here. You got the 60 to your left, you got 5 freeways straight ahead, and of course the 10 freeway. It's going to be really interesting to see which way this guy chooses to go. If not, maybe he might exit somewhere. But right now it looks like pretty heavy traffic for this time of night, 10 o'clock on a Friday even on the 5 freeway. Can you run us down once again how this all started, Desmond?
Yeah, this was reported as a stolen vehicle in the Mission District, so that's in the northern San Fernando Valley, pretty close to the Silmar-Pacoima area. Came in as a possible stolen vehicle. That's what we've heard at this point. This late model Honda Accord driving very, very quickly. We've seen speeds approaching 90 miles an hour at this point, and it doesn't look like it's coming to an end anytime soon. LAPD had been behind him. They said they were disengaging, and generally when they decide to disengage from the ground, well, you see another unit there. Not sure if he's involved in that. He just went off the screen there behind me. But generally when they disengage, it is in the interest of public safety, just because they don't want this guy to behave like a cornered animal or something. Many times when you get a lot of units behind him, you really see these guys go pedal to the metal and start endangering everybody around him. Yeah, and now getting over to the far right, so it looks like he's going to be going along the 110. And I'll tell you what, this is very dangerous if he's going to take the southbound 110. That's a really weird connector ramp. Definitely don't want to be driving that fast on a ramp like that. Well, now he's getting to the left like he's going to go northbound 110. So let's see what he does here.
But when you talk about disengage, that's just the ground units. We understand that, of course, that's we see that that's a light there from what we believe to be a police helicopter, as Desmond Shaw and Sky 9 is following up on this pursuit here. As we bring this to you live here at the top of the hour here on KCAL 9, we have a police pursuit. This is of a stolen vehicle out of Mission District, we're told, by police. This is a Honda Accord, dark in color. We understand there's just one person inside that vehicle, of course, that person behind the wheel. And this all started in the Mission District area. It looks like we're going southbound on the 110 at this point in time. And Susie, this suspect has gone through Los Feliz, Boyle Heights. We picked it up in Burbank, about 80, 90 miles per hour, they said.
And that 110 freeway, Jeff, it's very windy and it's a very narrow laned freeway, very scary, especially for someone driving at this speed. Desmond, what do you know about when police officers or when units are actually pulling back? At what point do they make that decision? How fast is too fast?
Well, I think that's generally the officers. I think it's up to their discrepancy about when exactly to disengage. But we've been seeing it a lot more commonly. I would say that once we start to see these suspects really get aggressive in their driving habits, LAPD just decides, you know what, we'll just watch this guy from the air. Well, we don't want to contribute to endangering anyone here on the roadways. Let this guy do what he does. Hopefully he'll run out of gas and they can intercept him, or hope that he makes a wrong turn down a cul-de-sac or something like that. And then they can engage the suspect when it's much more safe for the general public.
So what do you see up ahead? We were able to kind of get a view of the traffic there. This looks fairly wide open right here, Desmond, as we take a live picture here. That stolen car pursuit going on now southbound on the 110 freeway. It looks like it's headed towards downtown LA. So what do you see ahead of all of this, Desmond?
Well, it's kind of hard for me to see behind the skyscrapers right now, but traffic is actually pretty light. At any given time here, really at any time, even at 2 a.m., we can see the 110 freeway backed up, really stacked up, especially if there's construction. But that does not look to be the case right now, as he is southbound here. He will be upon the Santa Monica freeway at pretty quickly at this pace, at the pace that he's going. He's slowed down a little bit from what he was on the 5. Kind of doesn't have much of a choice since he has so many people around him, and just the nature of the 110 freeway, as you said. So he's going a little more reasonable at this point as far as speeds go. But traffic, as far as traffic conditions for him, congestion, doesn't look like that's going to be much of a factor. Well, now LAPD looks like they're re-engaging here. Now we got LAPD right behind this guy.
Yeah, this is really interesting pursuit, only because just how fast he's been going. We see these pursuits sometimes going really slow. This is a really fast one. This all started in the northern San Fernando Valley this evening.
Okay.
The Mission District with the LAPD in pursuit. And it looks like they just re-engaged after pulling back for a while because this guy was driving so fast on the freeway. It looks like he is going through those downtown area right now, 110 southbound right now, going through the downtown LA area. He's going to hit the 10 freeway pretty soon. It should be interesting if he takes that 10 freeway. But as Desmond mentioned, this freeway it can be busy at any time of day, any time of the week, and it looks like it's pretty clear for the most part. But at that point, Jeff, when there were no police officers behind this guy, pretty scary for drivers, pretty dangerous, because you don't see police officers behind you. You see this guy going so fast, only one airship or two airships, including ours, above ours, and this could be a very dangerous situation. Yeah, and you got to think that he obviously knows that he's being pursued because of the helicopters and the traffic around him. Obviously, you see that big spotlight as well. You got to know that something is going on here. And this vehicle, as Desmond Shaw in Sky 9 is telling us, he thinks he's going about 80, 90 miles an hour. And you can see a pretty good clip that he's passing these vehicles here at those highway speeds of probably 65, 70 miles an hour, going all the way from the left-hand lane now into the right-hand lane, passing cars near the median right there, as it looks like he's possibly thinking about making an exit or not. We don't know, but at this point in time, this is live pictures here of the stolen car pursuit that started just a little while ago in the Mission District area, with that car reported as a stolen vehicle. That is a dark-colored Honda Accord, and we continue to bring this to you live. Let's go back up to Desmond now with the latest. Now, Desmond, has he changed course at all? Is he going? Can you see where he might be going now?
South 110 MLK. We are southbound on the 110. We are getting well into South LA. We're pretty close to USC at this point, just about a USC adjacent. So we're passing Exposition. Next will be Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, and then I believe 52nd Street. And we'll be getting deep into South LA. Well, we're going to lose them behind the elevated carpool lanes here. Travis, can you pull to the other side? Stand by here. This is kind of difficult area here too, guys. Of course, we're getting into LAX's airspace, so we have to change altitude for them and get permission. Okay, at least now we're past the elevated carpool lane. So you do see there, as I widen out, you do see an LAPD suspect. It looks like they have decided to re-engage him here. They have an SUV, and it looks like now they have decided to tail this guy. Yeah, getting pretty close too, Desmond. Again, if you're just joining us here on KCAL 9 News at 10, this is breaking news. We're following a stolen car pursuit right now, going through South LA, southbound on the 110 freeway. This all began in the San Fernando Valley, northern San Fernando Valley. Took us through Burbank off the 5 southbound, and now on the 110 southbound, and just past Exposition Park.
going at speeds of up to 90 miles per hour as far as we believe. And units had to pull back at one point because this guy was driving so fast. It looks like we're losing his view or losing our view of this guy for just a second as we go in this overpass here. But he is going pretty fast on that 110 southbound freeway, and the LAPD just re-engaged, following pretty closely behind him.
You know, another factor here is it's nighttime.
Right.
And, you know, when you're going fast and it's you can't see as well, of course, as you would during the day, then the element for danger there is increased, I think. It seems like we're kind of pulling out as far as the picture here. It looks like the spotlight from the police helicopter is kind of moving over to the side of the road. We don't know what the situation is to continue to follow him. If that's him, that looks like that's him right there. That's a Honda Accord. At one point in time, he was over to the HOV lanes, and of course, part of the HOV lanes were elevated, so you couldn't really see a good shot of the suspect driver there. As we continue to follow this stolen car pursuit that began in Mission District of a stolen vehicle, what you're seeing there in the center of your screen, that vehicle is a Honda Accord, dark in color right there.
Yeah, on the right shoulder there. And you might notice that sometimes Desmond and his crew in Sky 9 might have to pull back a little bit on the shot and widen out, only because he is running into the LAX air traffic there too, and so he might have to sometimes make the shot a little wider. But it looks like we are getting pretty close right now, and with the LAPD still on his tail. Desmond, at what point do you believe this might be a CHP handle?
I'm sorry there, Susie, ask one more time.
No, that's okay. Just wondering if you might think that this might become a CHP handle at some point.
Yeah, you know, I've been waiting to see CHP begin to engage this guy. We just saw LAPD there. I haven't heard on the scanners. Well, you see a couple more units there in the far right lanes trying to kind of slow this guy down, let them know, hey, we've got the resources to take you down. You know, so you need to you need to stop your vehicle, but not happening here. Southbound on the 110 now. Interestingly enough, I'm looking at some very heavy traffic on the northbound side. As I widen out, you can see on the northbound side, it looks like there is some construction taking place northbound, or possibly a wreck. But southbound, wide open drive here for this guy. As he now heads through the South LA area, we will be upon the 105, the Century Freeway, in not too long a time at the pace that this guy is going. Speeds have definitely slowed down a little bit. We were really flying along there when we were on the southbound 5 through Burbank. Well, now it's starting to pick up again. So this guy's certainly been driving fairly unpredictably. Hasn't been weaving around quite as crazily as we see some of the other suspects. But regardless, this does continue now southbound on the 110, and we will be approaching the 105 shortly. All
right, we continue to follow this stolen car pursuit here with Sky 9 and Desmond Howard. Howard, live here on the KCAL 9 as we have exactly what's going, Desmond Shaw rather. I'm sorry about that. We were talking about what happened here just a few minutes ago. Mission District stolen vehicle of a Honda Accord, dark in color, as we continue to follow this here. It looks like he is getting off the highway. That was southbound 110. So Desmond, where is he now?
I believe we are going to be getting off the freeway at, I believe this is going to be Slauson. Let me see here. He's now stopped. Manchester. I just heard LAPD call out Manchester. This is a southbound 110 at Manchester, and just fighting his way through traffic now. They're blowing a red light. You see a couple of units there, one behind him. And now they're actually, the units are kind of swarming this guy. There's actually a unit right in front of him, and we're now headed eastbound on Manchester. Let's see if he comes out the other end here.
Yeah, this is pretty incredible how that one unit was right in front of him, actually, as if they were just waiting for him to exit off that freeway. That was pretty incredible how he was almost surrounded by police officers at one point. The stolen car pursuit now on the surface streets of South Los Angeles. The driver just exited off of Manchester Avenue off the 110 southbound freeway, and it looks like LAPD units are right behind him. As you can see them in an intersection. The reason why, again, I want to explain why we have to take a wider shot sometimes is because we are very close to LAX at this point, of course, and we need to be careful and be leery of what's going on with the LAX air traffic as well.
It looks like one other police vehicle now is added to that chase, as there was one for just a very long time. We understand at one point in time LAPD disengaged this suspect vehicle and were just pursuing him from the air. But now it looks like there are at least two police vehicles behind him as this suspect driver exited southbound 110 at eastbound Manchester in South LA right now as he continues to go through red lights and is being pursued by LAPD, other police agencies after this came across in the Mission District as a stolen vehicle. What you're taking a look at there is a
I know.
Honda Accord, dark in color.
Yeah, no
We
problem.
believe there's just the driver and no passengers in this vehicle, Susan.
Yeah, and Desmond, as you can see from your vantage point, lots of little traffic that's been kind of, stopping him, but he doesn't stop. He just kind of, makes turns and keeps on going.
Yep, yeah, just blowing through the red lights there. We saw quite a bit, and fortunately not really anybody walking around. I believe we're southbound on Avalon now as we get into the heart of South LA. And you see that is actually a CHP who is behind the suspect right now. So CHP is involved, but now that we're also on surface streets, I would expect LAPD to get back to get involved in this at some point. And now that we're back on on surface streets, rather, I should say, this is when options like the pit maneuver become much more likely, much more doable with the lower speeds. We very rarely see pit maneuvers attempted above 45 miles an hour. Now on the wrong
he's
side
going to oncoming
of the
traffic
road,
now.
turning down near the Avalon Motel, turning eastbound here along a pretty small street, a very narrow street here. And you saw that guy jump out of the way. The CHP may attempt a pit maneuver right here, or perhaps this guy.
I wonder if this guy's going home. This is a residential area.
Now.
That's a very residential area. You always hear about these suspects sometimes going home.
Yes, that's true.
And it looks like he's coming down to
looks
very
like he's stopping now. Yep, stopping. We got people out in their yards watching this. Perhaps they were watching us on KCAL 9. Well, now he's starting up again. Perhaps he's decided he doesn't want to give up yet at this point. This late model Honda Accord and making a kind of an erratic turn there.
And it looks like
two
LAPD.
CHP units I see behind him.
Do you see LAPD along with them, with CHP, Desmond?
I just see two CHP SUVs at this point.
Yeah, this suspect is starting to drive aggressively. Go ahead, Desmond.
He is. He definitely is. And now we've turned back northbound. Try to get this street for you here, but now he's turned back northbound. This is 92nd Street. Actually, well, he's going to be eastbound. Excuse me. I believe yes, eastbound now on. No, westbound. I'm sorry, guys. Getting a little discombobulated up here, but back westbound now on 92nd Street, back towards the 110 freeway. So we're westbound on 92nd, back towards the Harbor Freeway, coming up on yet another red light.
Right-hand turn.
Yep. And so I believe he's back north on Avalon now at this point. Quite erratic. Not sure what that was about going down the residential streets. Maybe he's lost, or maybe he was trying to go to a friend's house. You can never really tell what these suspects are thinking. But we're now northbound, I believe, on Avalon. I just heard the word disengage again from LAPD, so it may just be CHP that is on this. We'll have to see what they do, or perhaps they're getting ready to disengage again as well. This late model Honda Accord, I believe this is going to be between years 1992 and 96. And if I can say, this is considered one of the most reliable vehicles ever made. Also incredibly gas efficient. So we don't know how much gas the suspect had in his tank, but if he had a full tank, this is something that could give officers fits for a very long time. Now we're really flying here westbound.
Yeah, he's really flying now.
Blowing through those intersections and those red lights.
But not only that, but you saw him kind of gain a little bit of lift on the crown of the intersection there. Like he's going pretty fast. And at one point in time, when he stopped, you've seen suspects stop to throw something out. Not that this guy was doing that, or this person was doing that, but you wondered why that person came down to a complete stop. Almost you thought that the police were going to get out at that point in time and arrest this guy, but then he's sped up, and now he's going through residential areas.
And back on the freeway, it looks like, with the CHP in pursuit.
Now he's back on the northbound 110 from Manchester. Yeah, northbound on the 110 once again from Manchester. CHP right behind him. And now here's what I was talking about, that traffic that is on the northbound side. Now he's going to get caught in this, and we'll see if CHP will be able to make a move here. And we'll see if this was a wreck or if this is construction. I'm looking up ahead, and the traffic is very thick up ahead. It looks like we have a couple of lanes blocked not too far up. So have to see what this suspect is going to do. We do have two CHP officers involved.
He's going through traffic
really
now.
Getting close there. In fact, yeah, he did hit one of those vehicles there. Looks like he might have lost his mirror there after he clipped that vehicle. Now he's getting into the express lanes to try to avoid some of this traffic, unfortunately. So this is usually the lanes that you have to pay for. Of course, the suspect just decides to cut in to avoid this traffic. Northbound on the 110, back through the South LA area, headed back towards downtown Los Angeles.
Okay, this is a live pursuit you're seeing here on KCAL 9. This all began earlier tonight, just within the last probably about 25 minutes or so. That's a stolen vehicle report out of the Mission District area of a Honda Accord, dark in color. It's gone through Boyle Heights, Burbank, near the Dodger Stadium, Los Feliz, Burbank near USC, Florence as well, as we continue to follow this pursuit here for you live. Desmond Shaw is in Sky 9, has been following this as this is kind of winded down back and forth through some residential areas. He came to a stop in a neighborhood where some people were outside, but then he, at that point in time, seemed to punch it and gain momentum and start to kind of speed through residential areas.
And you got to wonder, Jeff, you know, it's really interesting because he got off the freeway, off the 110 southbound, off of Manchester. Then he went through this whole residential street. He went through all the residential streets, blew through red lights. He went up a curb on the wrong side of the street. Police pursuing, CHP pursuing him. Very dangerous situation for them because they were forced to go on the wrong side of the road at some points. And then he got back on the 110 northbound on Manchester. So you got to wonder if he knows this area, if he's familiar with that area in South LA, in Florence. It just makes you wonder. And then he got back on the freeway and went through some traffic there and hit a car on the 110 northbound. And now it looks like he was in the express lanes. Desmond, where are we now?
We are in the elevated carpool lanes here, northbound on the 110. Now, these elevated carpool lanes end at Adams, and there is a carpool lane exit there at Adams. So if he continues, he's going to be forced off of the freeway there, and that will be in South LA, very close to USC, University of Southern California, and just south of downtown Los Angeles. This would seem to me like a good opportunity for CHP to try to intervene, but you know, this is obviously a very tense situation. You know, we don't, not only do we know what the suspect is thinking, but CHP obviously trying to ascertain what they're going to do with this guy and how they can bring this to an end without injuring anybody around it.
Yeah, and you wonder if he was going someplace where he was going to meet somebody or do something and then thought second of that because there were police behind him. Because it looked at one point in time like he stopped the vehicle and maybe he was going to get out. So I don't know if he was going to that particular neighborhood. As you see in the earlier box on the right-hand side, that's when we were going through the neighborhood. We're back on the highway once again, going back where he started from, kind of back in the same direction, the opposite direction of earlier this evening where he was southbound 110. He circled back and now northbound 110. And you mentioned near the USC area.
Yeah, right there on your right side of the screen is where he hit that car, and then he gets into the express lanes. This is where he starts that. And it looks like right now, Desmond, is he still on the 110?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I apologize for that. We have the LAPD airship was on the other side, so obviously we can't interfere with that. But we're through the carpool lanes now, and he's going to be back onto the 110 here, approaching the 10 Santa Monica Freeway. That's Adams that he was going under, actually Figueroa, I believe. Right there, but he will be coming up to the 10 Santa Monica Freeway, still northbound on the 110, headed through the downtown LA. When he was back there in the Florence area, that was certainly peculiar for him to come to a stop and then all of a sudden just decide to change his mind and get back going there. So, you know, don't know what that was all about. If that was somebody you knew, maybe stopping off to say hi to somebody, you know, who knows what these guys are thinking.
Yeah.
So Desmond, explain why the police at you know, there was a point in time where there were the on-ramp that they had him with another vehicle, two police vehicles, close pursuit of this Honda Accord. As they were getting the on-ramp on the 110 going northbound, there were no other vehicles around. Why would they not do a pit maneuver then as opposed to wait until you have a lot of traffic around? If you wouldn't mind just explaining what might be going through the minds of police officers as they follow this pursuit suspect here.
Yeah, that's actually a very, very good question, Jeff. I thought for sure we were going to see a pit there along that on-ramp there from the Manchester on-ramp to the northbound 110. I'm kind of baffled myself as to why that was not attempted, because we've seen some very successful pit maneuvers either trying to get on or off of the freeway. It's possible that this suspect is armed. I have not heard that, but perhaps that's a concern of theirs.
Sure.
And you know, that's the only thing that I can think of that comes to mind as to why they were not wanting to end the pursuit right then and there, because they certainly have the capability. You have their vehicles they're driving are incredibly capable of pit maneuvers. You know, these things weigh about twice as much as these Honda Accords. So that certainly was not a factor. We are getting into some traffic though, coming right up to the 4 level here, northbound on the 110. You see the 3rd Street exit there off to the right, and we will be at the 4 level. This is a notorious choke point for LA commuters. If you drive to downtown at any point, you know you are certainly subject to delays, especially headed northbound here towards the 4 level interchange. So he's coming up to the 110. He'll have options for the north or south 101 or to continue north on the 110.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like traffic is really stopping him this evening, Desmond. If you're just joining us here on KCAL 9 News at 10, this is a live breaking news on KCAL 9 of a stolen car pursuit, and this all started in the northern San Fernando Valley with the Mission District of the LAPD in pursuit. Went through Burbank above speeds of 90 miles per hour. Units had to actually pull back at one point because of that, because of the speeds. He went southbound on the 5 freeway, southbound on the 110 freeway, past Exposition Park in the USC area, exited in the city of Florence and or the area of LA and Florence, and off of Manchester Avenue, and that's where he went through some residential streets, making some really dangerous maneuvers. People were outside at one point, even in a residential neighborhood, and he just went right through them, went through red lights, went up a curb at one point and kept on going. And
into oncoming traffic?
Right, into oncoming traffic.
Well, he clipped that car when he first got back northbound on the 110
yeah.
to go from the right-hand lane to the left-hand lane through some heavy traffic. He clipped a car going from right to left.
Yeah, we were talking about, pit maneuvers, and at, many points during the residential areas, there were points that, we thought that maybe the CHP might attempt a pit maneuver, but he started really picking up speed after stopping in that residential area. And it looks like we're losing view of him right now.
It's so hard to. We're not
behind
there.
some trees here, guys.
Yeah,
I apologize.
we're not there to know the circumstances and what may or may not be happening as to the reason why they decided to do or not the pit maneuver. As they go, it appears like it's a tunnel right at that point in time.
Yeah.
But we understand that we're here wanting this to end in a way that is best for everybody.
Yeah.
But at the same time, these police officers may be dealing with somebody, we don't know if he's armed or not. They may have that information and may be treating this a little bit differently than we're seeing it right here on KCAL 9 Live and the stolen car pursuit. But at least a couple of points in time in this chase, they were right up on top of him, especially when he stopped in that residential area and almost appeared that he put it in park for just a moment before putting it back in drive and then taking off.
Yeah, we were wondering maybe if he knows that area or not. It looks like we're going through the, let's see, we're still on the 110 freeway right now. Went through a tunnel.
I think we're going to be north 5 here, guys.
Okay, northbound 5 from the 110, and we were just talking about the 110 freeway just a little while ago and just how dangerous that can be too, just because it was built back in the 1920s and it's such a small lane that the lanes are so narrow, and even this stretch of road right here where you do the interchange from the 110 to the 5 is very narrow, but it looks like he's maneuvering his way just fine through there with CHP still chasing him.
Okay, let's go up to Sky 9 and Desmond Shaw, who's been following this from the very beginning as this started as a stolen vehicle call. So what's the latest that you see, Desmond?
Well, Jeff, we are now northbound on the 5, so we're basically making a huge loop now. We started in the North San Fernando Valley. This came in from the Mission District, a possible suspected stolen vehicle. We saw this go south 5, south 110. A peculiar stop in the Florence area there off of Manchester, east of the 110, and then he doubled back, and now he's going right back to where this chase started, northbound now on the 5, coming away from Dodger Stadium. So we'll be going through the Atwater Village area and towards Los Feliz here pretty quickly. The 2 freeway is going to be the suspect's next option.
Like you said, Desmond, he's just going in a complete circle right now, going through Echo Park right now and coming up on Atwater Village where we just picked up this pursuit just after Burbank. Shortly before the 10 o'clock hour, and it looks like he's staying at those high speeds.
It's almost like he got cold feet and he thought he could just retrace his steps and go back to where this all began, like nothing ever happened. But unfortunately, obviously, this is several crimes being committed here, one of which is the stolen vehicle and leading police on a chase here through downtown LA on a Friday night, back and forth on the highways in a residential area. And Desmond, it appears that he's not going to slow down, at least at this point in time.
And it's
no. We can add several blown stoplights to that, as well as that hit and run that we saw on the 110 when he was squeezing between a couple of cars, and he definitely clipped one of those vehicles. So obviously the litany, the list just continues to grow here, getting really close to that motorcyclist. That guy's got to be kind of nervous there. You see the spotlight overhead, and he covered too many motorcycle wrecks. So glad we didn't see anything there. Northbound on the 5, though, as I look ahead, traffic does not look like it's going to be much of a factor. In fact, once again, now you're seeing traffic on the opposite side of the freeway from where this guy is. So traffic has not been something that has been able to aid authorities in slowing this guy down, and once again, speeds are certainly picking up as we head through the Los Feliz area, and we'll be back. They're crossing Los Feliz right now. Next will be Griffith Park area and Colorado, and then the 134.
You know, Jeff, you really really when we're covering these chases, obviously this one we know is a stolen car pursuit, but why this guy keeps on running? Is it because it's more than a stolen car? Does he have something else in the car? Does he have something to hide? Is he intoxicated? Is he under the influence of drugs? We have no idea at this point. Is he armed? Desmond was also talking about that, but it really makes you wonder, why they keep on running.
I think it's probably just desperation and panic at this point in time for this individual. I mean, he obviously doesn't want to go to jail, and he thinks that this is the best option for him, which is a bad move. I mean, this is not going to end up good in any way, shape, or form for him. They're going to get their man eventually in one way, shape, or form, whether they have to do it with force or not. And what we're taking a look at here is just an individual who's decided to steal a car, got caught doing so, and decided to run instead of doing the right thing and pulling over and putting his hands up and giving up. And now he's putting tens of thousands of people on the roadways in danger. He went through a neighborhood. He went into oncoming traffic. He almost hit a motorcyclist there. He did hit a vehicle going northbound on the 110, just clipped a car. So at this point in time, not any good moves by this driver as he continues to lead police on this pursuit. And at one point in time, Susan, we know LAPD was involved, CHP as well, but we believe at this point in time it's just CHP, right?
That's right. Desmond, what are you seeing up there now?
Yeah, I just zoomed out to see who's behind this guy, and it looks like we do just have CHP behind him. They've kind of given him a little bit of space once again. So, but they are still engaged. At this point, I don't know. They may just be waiting for this suspect to run out of gas. Kind of hard to say. Well, they're kind of going between coming right up next to him and then letting him get some distance. So it looks like we're actually going to be transitioning to the 134. Now at this point, I believe this is going to be the westbound 134. So now we will be heading more towards the San Fernando Valley, coming away from the Burbank-Glendale area, westbound on the 134. And next up will be the Toluca Lake and the Studio City area, as well as the westbound 101.
Yeah, if you're just joining us here on KCAL 9, we continue to follow a stolen car pursuit. We have no idea why this guy keeps on running, but as Desmond mentioned, at some point, he's been putting mileage on this car, this Honda Accord, for quite a while now, going from the 5 southbound through Burbank, through USC to Florence, back up the 110 freeway, and now back on the 134, to the San Fernando Valley. And at some point, yes, this car is going to run out of gas, and you got to wonder when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen. It's going to be on the freeway, or is it going to be on a surface street after this guy exits again? But at this point, you just got to wonder why he keeps on running.
Yeah, we continue to follow this live breaking news here happening of the stolen car pursuit. Westbound 134 freeway in Burbank right now. We began with a stolen vehicle call earlier tonight, about 10 minutes before the top of the hour of 10. In the Mission District area of a stolen vehicle. That's a Honda Accord, dark-colored Honda Accord. We believe that is a later model, as Desmond Shaw has been following this vehicle from the very beginning in Sky 9. And we just have had a number of cities that we could check off along the way that he's gone through. This is Boyle Heights and near Dodger Stadium, Los Feliz, Burbank, Florence, near USC. And looks like he continues to go through even more. There's no signs of stopping as we're now westbound the 134 after he was, northbound the 110, southbound the 110, northbound 5, westbound 134 now. So he just decided to go 80, 90 miles an hour at high speeds at night with police officers following both on the ground and in the air.
And so far, we've only seen this guy exit one time off the freeway, and it was in Florence. And we wondered maybe if he was familiar with the area because he exited off of Manchester Avenue. He exited off the freeway there, went through some surface streets, blew through red lights, and went up a curb, got very close to some cars, and the CHP officers were in pursuit of him. We thought maybe they might attempt a pit maneuver at some point, maybe on a residential street, and really weird, Jeff, we were just talking about this, how peculiar it was that he stopped almost to a complete stop on a residential street for maybe a few seconds, right there, CHP on his tail, and then picked up the pursuit once again.
And that's where he seemed to kind of pick up speed and go faster through the residential areas.
Yeah, it got really dangerous at that point.
And, you know, Desmond was talking about there were a number of people not in the streets, but in the front yards. And we don't know if that's because they were anticipating this suspect to show up or this individual to show up, or if they were just watching it here on KCAL 9 and then going out and seeing that that was in their neighborhood. But either way, there were people there, and maybe that had something to play in the police officers not engaging at that point in time, because obviously if you don't know what this guy is going to do and you have people around, there could be an added danger to it.
That's right. And then he got back on the 110 freeway northbound at Manchester off the same exit he got off of, then continued this pursuit, and now here we are in Toluca Lake along the 134 freeway going westbound. Desmond, are you seeing other CHP officers joining this pursuit, or are we seeing the same number of units behind him?
I just see the same 2 units that we've seen for quite some time. One of the Ford Explorers there, and that looks like it's going to be one of the older Crown Victoria cruisers behind him. So just those 2 that I've seen so far. LAPD had been engaged at the beginning of this back in the Mission District, and you can be sure that they are keeping apprised of everything happening now in their jurisdiction on the surface streets. And if the suspect decides to exit the freeway, then LAPD may be able to re-engage. They may be able to anticipate his next move, perhaps get some spike strips ready. Sometimes we see that as well, but we would certainly hope that this the authorities will have a much bigger upper hand here if they can just get this off of the freeway and back onto a surface street, hopefully one that's not very crowded. Perhaps they can pit this guy and bring it to a conclusion.
Desmond, tell us about the strategy police officers use at this point in time, because we know that we're here and we could see opportunities for what we think might be the time to do a pit maneuver. But of course, we're not on the ground. We're not these officers. We don't see and know what's going on as much as we'd like to think. So what is their protocol for this point in time? Are they bound to kind of follow this individual until he stops? Or is there a point in time where they say we've got to do a maneuver on this guy? What do you think is going through the minds at this point in time?
It is generally, up to the discretion of the officer. Obviously, they have to take a ton of factors into consideration at this point. It's really kind of hard to say, what's going through CHP's mind. We're really was kind of perplexed that we didn't see that pit maneuver earlier in the South LA area. Well, we're getting off the freeway now. I believe this is going to be Coldwater Canyon, and let's see what his next move
That's
is
just
going
right
to be.
around the corner.
That's right, just down the street from where we are right now. Looks like he is coming to a stop, right?
And I see the door open. There's a suspect just got out of the passenger side.
Oh.
So there was indeed a passenger in there. He dropped the passenger off. Now he's going to be turning northbound on Coldwater. So we did indeed have a couple of people in that vehicle. We're southbound on Coldwater now, headed into the Studio City area. And that's right, Jeff and Lena, right around the corner from you guys here, from our studios.
So Desmond, did at least one unit stay behind and pick up that individual that got out of the car? Do we know?
It looks yeah.
Well,
I still see the 2 units behind him. So it's kind of they will probably have LAPD come and intercept that suspect. I'm sure LAPD they'll have plenty of units nearby, so they shouldn't have any.
And real quickly, it looked like somebody wearing like red pajama pants with a white top
jeans,
or something.
Red jeans, maybe. Perhaps a female. I don't know.
I believe at the very quick glance I got, it did look like a female wearing pajamas. We're going to be up on Ventura Boulevard here pretty soon. Very active nightlife here, and in Studio City, a lot of people out walking around. Just crossed Ventura. We're southbound on Coldwater now, and we're going to be headed up towards Mulholland Drive. This could get a bit complicated here with the topography for us, so stand by. Southbound on Coldwater Canyon, pretty windy street. Once he starts getting some elevation here, he's going to start hitting some hairpin curves, and we'll have to see how he navigates that.
Oh, and that can be so dangerous. It's so dark up there. We know that those windy roads are very dangerous, especially at this time of night. It's dark up there. Let's take you to some video right now. We know during this entire pursuit that started just before the 10 o'clock hour, we thought that this driver was driving solo, but apparently there was a passenger in the car, because when he exited off Coldwater Canyon off the 101, There was a passenger that we
Simon
saw
Desk, we can't take
come
it any
out
farther. Tell the
of
booth.
that car. You see that right there on the right side of your screen. We don't know if it's a female or a male passenger, but we do know there was someone else in that car. So this driver said, "Hey, you know what? I better cut my losses here and drop off one of these passengers and keep on going." And it looks like right now we are in the Studio City area, like we said, just down the street from our studios here in Studio City. And looks like CHP units are still behind him. Desmond, do you see any LAPD units anywhere?
I still do not see any LAPD here, and I do apologize, guys. This is as far as we can take it right now.
Gotcha.
We're not the only. Stand by just 1 second, guys.
Okay. Well, let's just bring you up to speed. What happened just a few minutes ago was they've been following this suspect vehicle for actually for going on about 45 minutes now through many highways and surface streets and many miles, and then all of a sudden we thought there was just a driver and that was it, but then they pulled up to Coldwater Canyon there at the 101 near Ventura and just dropped off what appeared to be a female passenger, and it looked like she had a black top, and it looked like it was either pajama pants or pajama shorts, and was clutching something in her hand. It looked like a cell phone, and looked back, and that police officer behind the suspect vehicle stopped for a moment. You would probably believe that they looked at that individual, saw that they weren't a threat, and then continued to follow the suspect's vehicle. And that's what we're looking at live pictures here as we continue to kind of wind around Coldwater Canyon area in the Studio City area. And this all came down earlier tonight, about 10 minutes before the top of the hour. About 50 minutes ago, as a stolen vehicle. Yeah,
this is very precarious because, as we know, we're entering the Hollywood Hills area, and those roads, they're so dangerous even to drive in daylight, broad daylight. And in the dark like this, obviously very dangerous as this driver is taking CHP officers on this wild ride. If you're just joining us here on KCAL 9, this is a pursuit that we have been following, as Jeff mentioned, for about 45 minutes now. It started actually in San Fernando Valley, in the northern San Fernando Valley, with the Mission District of the LAPD, division of the LAPD in pursuit. We went through Burbank on the 5 southbound, down to the 110 southbound past Exposition Park near USC, exited Manchester Avenue in Florence, where the CHP got involved there. This driver with a passenger, as we know now, inside the vehicle was going through red lights, went up a curb at one point on the wrong side of the street where CHP officers were doing the same just to, of course, chase this guy, and going through residential streets and stopped at one point. Almost to a complete stop. Yeah. And then a couple seconds later kept on going.
And felt better doing that, I guess.
Exactly. Huh? And then picked up speeds on the residential streets and then got back on the 110 freeway going northbound, and then hit the 5 northbound again, going in almost a complete circle from where he started this pursuit this evening, and then on the 134 freeway westbound, then on the 101 exited Coldwater Canyon, dropped off a passenger there, and then kept on going up Coldwater and ended up going into the Hollywood Hills. And as you can see on the left side of your screen, the live picture right now, Desmond is trying to get us the best shot he can, but it's very difficult, as you can imagine, with the Hollywood Hills. It's very dark up there, and it's very hard to keep up with that. But on the right side of your screen, you're seeing where this driver went through the residential streets.
That was just after he stopped, and then he took that aggressive turn to the left.
Yeah, and you almost thought right there they might attempt a pit maneuver because they got so close to this guy.
See how fast it was going there, too?
Going through red lights.
Now on the highway, we thought maybe, I don't know, 80 to 90 miles an hour is kind of what we thought that and estimated it was, and that was just right there was a little bit of a hit and run. It went all the way from the right side. That was the on-ramp onto the northbound 101, clipped a car, 110, I'm sorry, the northbound 110, clipped a car going from the right-hand lane all the way over to the left-hand lane in heavy traffic. Yeah. Remember, going 80, 90 miles an hour. There's where he dropped off the passenger. That was at Coldwater Canyon, which you wonder why there as opposed to the residential area where they were before.
That's true.
But this individual has taken highways, surface streets, dropped off a passenger. We don't know if there's any more passengers inside that vehicle or not, but not only endangering all the people on the road that he decides to have this pursuit on, but also at least one person inside the vehicle as well. And as we take a look at some of the shots from earlier tonight, we picked this up about 10 minutes for the top of the hour. And we still remain here seated to see what's going to happen with this one.
Yeah, and as far as we know, this was a stolen car. That's all we know about the crime that was being committed. But of course, this guy racking up the crimes as we move along here, evading police, obviously, driving recklessly, and hitting the carpool lanes. We saw that happen when he went on the 110 freeway, the northbound freeway, once again off of Manchester Avenue, hitting that car and then getting back on the freeway. It looks like right now we're trying to locate, Desmond is trying to locate the vehicle, but it's, like I said, it's very hard in the Hollywood Hills because you go up those windy roads and it becomes very dark, and even for CHP officers, this is quite the task. Yeah, let's see if we can go ahead and get back Desmond Shaw here from Sky 9 and see what the latest is. Desmond, can you hear us? And if so, what's the latest?
Yeah, I got you there, Jeff. We had heard that this pursuit may be over now at Coldwater Canyon near Cherokee. We were hearing that, and unfortunately that's still in a pretty hilly area. We're dealing with some low visibility, and it's very dark up here with the topography, making it very difficult for us. So we're trying our best up here.
Okay, Desmond, we're going to stop you just for a second to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more breaking news here on KCAL 9. Stay with us.
Here's something that doesn't happen very often, a classic LA police chase that ends without catching the driver at the end of the pursuit. Now, the chase began in Burbank around 9:45 last night. It weaved through several communities, including Glendale, downtown LA, and Studio City, before the suspect bailed on Coldwater Canyon near Cherokee Lane. Police caught a woman passenger right away, but it took police about 2 hours to catch the driver. The driver was wanted for stealing that car.